Hello everyone, Weather Jamaica here. Welcome to this updated video on the weather across Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean. It is Thursday evening, November 14, 2024. Now before we jump into it, please ensure that you guys like the video. I'd really appreciate it if you guys get this video up to 100 likes. If you don't know by now, that's how the YouTube algorithm works. We all like the video and then the YouTube algorithm pushes the video out to more persons who are in the path of these tropical systems so that we can keep everyone safe, especially during the peak months of Atlantic hurricane season. That's August through to October. Share this video with your friends, your co-workers, relatives, and even your church brethren, and subscribe if you haven't yet done so. Leave a comment down below, letting me know what though that's been like in your ear recently. Also, feel free to ask any other related question that you might have about the future of the weather in your specific area. Alright, so let us take a look at the US National Hurricane Center's 7-day graphical tropical weather outlook. And we can see that as of the latest update that just came out at 6:48 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So this one just came out, 8 minutes ago, if I'm not mistaken. We can see that the only thing that we have across the Atlantic is newly formed tropical storm Sierra right there off the coast of northeastern Honduras. And if we take a look at the visible satellite images before the sun went down, we can see the envelope of clouds associated with the system. Just for reference, we have Jamaica right here. So we're getting in on the eastern or the northeastern edge of the system. The center of circulation is somewhere down in here. And we can definitely see that the clouds are stretching as far as the Yucatan Peninsula, the Cayman Islands, portion of southern Cuba, into Belize, Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador, Nicaragua. Definitely getting in on some cloud cover, if not some shower activity as we speak from the system. And if we take a closer look at the system, look at the infrared. The close-up infrared is a bit too zoomed in, just to highlight how large the system is, stretching as far as the southern coastline of Cuba. Definitely brings some cloud showers and thunderstorms to portion of the Cayman Islands. We can see especially in northern Jamaica, getting on some thunderstorms as we speak. Lots of thunderstorms in the reds, the blacks, the grays, currently lashing portions of the coastal areas of Honduras right now. And that's going to be continuing over the next couple of days, and it's definitely going to be causing a lot of flash floods, landslides, and I'll definitely be showing you the footage as they come out on social media, more than likely in Spanish, considering that Honduras is a Spanish speaking country. But I'll definitely find them. It's very easy to find them. Just type in inundation or flooding in Spanish with the Google Translate and then paste it into YouTube or Twitter, and we'll definitely see the footage coming out for sure. Alright, so the rainfall is just beginning, so I'm sure that there isn't much footage out as yet, but surely as the rainfall continues to accumulate across this area, there's definitely going to be some flood related damages. If we take a look at the latest Euro ensemble spaghetti models, we can definitely see that the system is somewhere right here. We can see that majority of them keep it at tropical storm status in the greens, some of them making it up to hurricane status in the yellows. And we can definitely see that the system is going to be lingering somewhere in here to the north of Honduras over the next couple of days, and then it should push off towards the west. And we see that the models have definitely trended more so to this solution, more of a westward track. Remember earlier this week it was showing more of a northwestward track between the Yucatan Peninsula and Cuba. As a matter of fact, it was showing more of a track like this and then meandering and going back, but we see that it has definitely changed. And these are the things with these supercomputer models. We have to take them with a grain of salt because they're not always accurate. And remember, they were even forecasting a major hurricane. Now we see that the majority of the Euro ensembles are keeping it as a tropical storm. The GFS ensembles are definitely doing that as well. And that's going to be in part due to the fact that the system is going to be very close to land. And we know these systems need the warm water in order to survive. And if it's going to be rubbing along the coastline, it's definitely going to be losing majority of its strength in general. I'm pretty sure that if it was out in the open waters, more to the north, closer to the Cayman Islands, closer to western Jamaica, it would definitely have a shot at becoming a hurricane or even a major hurricane. Just to show that these systems need the warm water. They cannot survive near or over land at all. And we're indeed grateful that it's not going to be that major hurricane solution at all, causing widespread power outages and internet disconnections for those persons who live or work in Honduras. But we know that the rainfall can definitely pose a whole problem in general, and they are going to be getting in on that for sure. We can see that the model intensity guidance definitely in consensus, maintaining that tropical storm status. Only a few of them making it up to hurricane status in the yellows, and then we see that majority of them start to dip as we head into 4 days from now. 4 days from now should be, let's see, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So more than likely Monday, if not Tuesday, the system should possibly downgrade, maybe back to a tropical depression, if not a remnant area of low pressure. We'll see exactly what unfolds. As of right now, the hurricane center has it packing maximum sustained winds of 40 miles per hour. And we know 40 miles per hour, we're right there on the edge of tropical storm status. We know that tropical storms pack winds of anywhere from 39 to 73 miles per hour. So we can definitely see that, considering that it has 40 mile per hour winds, it is closer to tropical depression status than closer to hurricane status. So definitely a weak tropical storm, a low-end tropical storm. As of right now, it's moving towards the west at 10 miles per hour. And we can see the blues that we can see by the key on the bottom right across portion of northern Honduras that we know represents a tropical storm warning. We still have that yellow right there across northeastern Nicaragua for a tropical storm watch, and we see where the tropical storm force winds are, especially to the north of the X that represents the center of the circulation as of 7 p.m. on Thursday. So the latest update that just basically came out. So we see it's expected to push towards the west, definitely hugging the coastline of Honduras. Friday into Saturday, we see how slow it's going to be moving. So I guess that's the change. We don't see it meandering and pushing back eastward, back to Jamaica like what we once saw earlier this week. Now it's just more of a slow movement towards the west, and then we see that it should start getting into portion of Belize by 1 p.m. on Sunday. They're definitely going to be getting on some heavy weather over there, especially considering that it's going to be trekking over water again for sure, and then definitely going to be downgrading back to a depression. Here we have it, the hurricane center showing that by 1 p.m. on Monday it should be back to a tropical depression, just like what the intensity model guidance was showing, definitely because it's crossing over Belize, northern Guatemala, and the Yucatan Peninsula of Mexico. So it's going to be losing its strength in general. If we take a look at, what are we going to take a look at? Alright, I think we just took a look. Alright, good. So if we take a look here, let's take a look at the, what are we looking at now? We're going to be looking at, I think we've looked at it already, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, there's nothing to look at. Basically, this is the tropical storm force wind probability in the greens to the yellows, the reds, the purples. Definitely going to be experiencing the tropical storm force winds the most right there along the northern coast of Honduras for sure. So they might get in on some slight power outages, maybe some trees falling or branches of trees falling for sure. And we're going to be going out on both the Euro and the GFS malls over the next 7 days. We want to see what's going to be happening over the next 7 days. As usual, we look at the latest Euro run and we look at the latest GFS run to see what they are showing. As usual, we're just going to be going out to the next 168 hours. So keep your eyes on the timestamp right here at the top, and keep your eyes right here across the Caribbean into the eastern or southeastern Gulf. Right now we see where Sierra is located right there along the northern coastline of Honduras. And as we continue to go out in time, we see that as we head into Friday, 12Z on Friday is actually 7 a.m. and we see a lot of moisture touching all the way from Sierra. Some of it definitely into portion of Jamaica, maybe some isolated shores for sure on Friday morning. Heading into Saturday, We still see the system right here along the coastline of Honduras. Definitely some bad weather taking place. Flooding, pretty sure starting to take place by Friday, considering that it's Thursday evening right now, and they're still going to be having this system right there. We can see some of the moisture spilling into the Cayman Islands, some of it into Jamaica by 15 on Saturday, which is actually 10 a.m. Continuing out in time, Sunday, we still see much of the same moisture from Sierra, stretching all the way into portion of Jamaica. As a matter of fact, the moisture could even be associated with this frontal system that's stretching all the way from the northern portion of the North Atlantic all the way down to portion of the northern Caribbean, and we saw that on the visible satellite images. Let's go back to the visible. We can definitely see the clouds associated with the frontal system pushing and bringing some clouds into the northern portion of the Caribbean. But we can clearly see that most of the clouds that we're experiencing across Jamaica has to do with Sierra as we speak. We see the outer bands, we see the clouds pushing from south to northwest into the system in general as we speak. But who knows, maybe over the next couple of days, some of the clouds from this frontal system will push south into portion of Jamaica, and we might just have a mixture of the frontal system's clouds as well as Sierra's clouds as well. And we can definitely see on the Euro model, if we continue to go out in time, let's see, where were we? Here we are. So as we continue to go out in time, we're just going to be stopping right there at the end of the 96 hours. So this should be by 12 on Monday, which is actually 7 a.m. Clearly we see that the system has made it inland into the Yucatan Peninsula. Let us see what the 12 run of the GFS is showing. So as we head into Friday, we see the greens represent moisture coming into portion of Jamaica. We see this is what 18 on Friday, 1 p.m. and we still see the heavy weather associated with Sierra hugging the coast of Honduras for sure. Continuing out in time, we see that we still have a lot of moisture to get associated with the outer bands of Sierra interacting with the frontal system's clouds. This is as of 18 on Saturday, which is actually 1 p.m. Let's continue to go out. 78 hours, 84 hours, still have a lot of moisture in and around the central to the western Caribbean. Lots of moisture into the Yucatan Peninsula associated with Sierra still making landfall on those Central American countries. And we see where it's going to be by 12Z on Monday. We see that both the Euro and the GFS malls definitely have it, if not across the Yucatan Peninsula of Mexico, definitely starting to step back out into the waters of the southern Gulf of Mexico. If we take a look at the 18Z run of the GFS, let us see the latest one that just came out an hour ago. Alright, 18Z on Friday is actually 1 p.m. on Friday, and we can definitely see the greens that represent the moisture across Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, sections of the Yucatan Peninsula, Belize, heaviest weather right there off the coast of Honduras. Continuing out in time, still see much of the same on Saturday. Look at the dark greens into the yellows. This is 0Z on Sunday, which is actually 7 p.m. on Saturday. So maybe we're going to be getting in an or brunt of our rainfall on that day, because we still have some rainfall to get this weekend for sure. Could bring some isolated flash flooding to some spots. And then we're going to be stopping right here at the end of the 96 hours right here, 18Z on Monday, which is actually 1 p.m. and we see that Jamaica is starting to clear up by Monday, more white than anything else. We still have some moisture right here to the south and across the eastern Caribbean as well as the western Caribbean. We'll see exactly what unfolds with that. Either way, more than likely, this should be it. Let's hope that's it for the hurricane season after Sierra. We know that the next names that follow Sierra are Tony, Valerie, and William. Let's see if we actually make it to those names before all is said and done. Hopefully we don't, fingers crossed. We can see the accumulated precipitation for the next 7 days. Definitely still robust for the Western Caribbean from the Cayman Islands westward, the Yucatan Peninsula, the Eastern Yucatan, Belize, sections of Guatemala, El Salvador, especially Honduras, where we see those bluish colors that represent anywhere from 10 all the way up to 20 inches of rainfall. That's just ridiculous. Portions of Nicaragua getting in on some of the rainfall too, in the purples and the salmon colors that represent the 3. to 6 or 7 inches. So too sections of Costa Rica, Panama, Colombia, section of northwestern Venezuela getting another mix. For Jamaica, Hispaniola, Puerto Rico, the Eastern Caribbean, and Northeastern South America, we see more in the way of yellows, oranges, and reds that represent anywhere from 0.3 all the way up to at least an inch of rainfall over the next 7 days. Not saying that rainfall can't cause flooding, but clearly we see that the most in the way of rainfall should be where Sarah is going to be bringing the most rainfall. Tosa, portion of Central America, the very same spots. We see the consensus, we see the agreement on both models for these Central American countries for sure. So I hope that they're actually taking heed and they're actually prepared. Turn around, don't drown, don't want to hear about any loss of life. They all want to live to see 2025. We all want to live to see as long as possible. So hopefully everybody is taking the necessary precautions so that they're not that drastically affected by the bad weather to come. And regarding the close-up of Jamaica, we see that the rainfall has definitely trended down in intensity because we did not get it yet. As a matter of fact, we did not get much of it at all. So the models have definitely shifted in their accumulated precipitation forecast. And we're grateful just to show you that these models are not set in stone. They can definitely change. Remember, we saw so many reds and purples across portion of the island. And the models have definitely shifted, and we're indeed grateful because the Lord sees and He knows that we couldn't take the brunt of the rainfall that the models were predicting. So we're glad that the system did more of a southward track to the south of us, and majority of the rainfall and the intensity that we anticipated is not going to be taking place. But as of right now, we still see that the models are in consensus that regardless of what's going to be taking place, there's still some rainfall to come. The year showing up to the blues into the greens and yellows that represent anywhere from 10 all the way up to maybe 40 millimeters of rainfall. The GFS showing into the yellows and the oranges, maybe close to the pinks, that represents anywhere from 30 all the way up to 80 millimeters. We'll see exactly what unfolds. I'm pretty sure that we're already receiving most of that right now, especially on the north coast. They've been getting in on that rainfall, especially this afternoon, and I'll be highlighting it shortly. If we take a look at the surface map of the Atlantic for this evening, as stated, we have a frontal system stretching all the way from the northern portion of North Atlantic all the way down into portion of the northern Caribbean. We see that there's a trough attached to it in the broken orange lines. Another trough attached to another frontal system stretching all the way up into the northeastern section of North Atlantic. Another frontal system across southeastern portion of the United States. And we can see the symbol associated with tropical storm Sarah right there off the coast of Honduras. And if we take a look at the visible satellite images of the Atlantic before the sun went down, we can definitely make out the clouds as stated associated with this frontal system. Definitely bringing some rain at portion of Cuba, Haiti, the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, section of the US and British Virgin Islands, St. Martin, Antigua and Barbuda, well, more so Anguilla, St. Kitts, St. Nevis, well, St. Kitts and Nevis, Martinique for sure getting on some of the action as we speak. And we can see that not much is taking place across the Windward Islands or the Southern Leeward Islands, but definitely we can see the thunderstorms across portion of Northern South America, as well as the clouds associated with tropical storm Sarah right there across portion of Nicaragua, Honduras, Belize, and Guatemala as we speak into portion of the Cayman Islands. We'll be talking more about the rest of the Caribbean weather later on. Let us focus our attention on the prediction that was made in yesterday's video about the weather across Jamaica for today, Thursday, November 14, 2024. It was stated that parts of some eastern, central, and western parishes would have received some rainfall throughout the day today and Thursday. And we know that eastern parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Surrey, like Portland, St. Thomas, Kingston, St. Andrew. Central parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Middlesex, like St. Anne, St. Mary, Manchester, Clarendon, and St. Catherine. While western parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Cornwall, like Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, Westmoreland, and St. Elizabeth. And what ended up happening? As early as 5:20 a.m., the Cuban Doppler radar images were posted right here on our Twitter page, And I'd like for you to keep in mind that these posts aren't only made here on our Twitter page at Weather Jamaica, but they're also made on our Instagram page at weather.jamaica, on our TikTok page at Weather Jamaica, and on our Facebook page at Weather Jamaica 876. So if you have one of those social media platforms, please ensure that you follow us there as we make posts throughout the day that you can't afford to miss. So the Cuban Doppler radar images were posted early this morning, 5:20 a.m., highlighting the greens and the yellows that we know represent the moderate to the heavy rainfalls we can see by the key on the right. Moderado is moderate. Fuerte is the same as heavy or strong rainfall. And we can definitely see that it was affecting the parishes listed from southern Clarendon, section of southern Manchester, Soto, section of St. Anne, St. Mary, Portland, St. Thomas. I was definitely getting on some morning rainfall at that time. Definitely opened my door to some cool temperatures and it raining for sure. Some moderate rainfall, nothing too significant, but it definitely soaked the place. It definitely had that coming into portion of St. Anne, St. Mary, and Portland as well. And then the visible close-up satellite images of Jamaica were posted at around 2:55 p.m. Definitely saw the clouds building. First of all, look at the flow across the island. We can definitely see that moist southeasterly flow coming in. Definitely all courtesy of Sierra. We know everything is trying to wrap around into Sierra in an anti-clockwise fashion. So it's only right that we would be getting on that moist southeasterly flow. And then by afternoon, we saw what was taking place. The clouds started to build, especially across sections of some central and western parishes. Even though we definitely gotten on some clouds coming onshore in sections of St. Thomas, Portland for sure. Most of the activity was definitely across sections of Clarendon. Clouds pushing northwestward into sections of Westmoreland, Hanover, St. James, Trelawney definitely got in on some amount of rainfall. And we can even see the sparkling yellow dots that we know represent some amount of lightning strikes, if not lightning flashes for sure, that we know represent the thunderstorm activity. And if we take a look at the visible satellite images of Jamaica before the sun went down, we can see what took place. We see that moist southeasterly kind of flow across the island. For the most part, during the afternoon, the southern and eastern sides were definitely void of clouds or rainfall. Most of the thunderstorms were definitely right there off to the northwest of the island. It makes sense because that's where the least amount of winds are. So everything would have been piling up. And look at this infrared satellite image that was, well, that's being highlighted before all was said and done. Look at the deep convection. Look at the thunderstorms right there out to sea. Luckily, most of that is out to sea and not on land, because trust me, if that was on land, definitely would have been a bad situation for sure. Pretty sure it would have caused power outages. Look at all of the lightning flashes, if not lightning strikes. Definitely exited the coast of St. James, section of Hanover getting in on the action earlier. Sections of Westmoreland got in on some of the action too. We can definitely make out some isolated thunderstorm activity across sections of St. Mary as well. Alright, let us see what the live camera from Crossroads was showing today. As we can see here from See Jamaica's YouTube channel at around 2:04 p.m. It was definitely sunny. We definitely had some clouds building though into portion of the hills of northern St. Andrew. Nothing too significant. For the most part, we saw sunny conditions across the corporate area for sure. And I'd like for you to keep in mind that if you'd like to see live streams like this, you can visit See Jamaica. They are on YouTube 24/7, showing Halfway Tree, the Kingston Harbor, Flatbridge, you name it. And they are planning on increasing the amount of cameras that they have in and around the island. So if I were you, I'd definitely subscribe today so that I don't miss out, just in case they install a camera near you. If we take a look at the accumulated precipitation for the past 24 hours from the Caribbean Institute for Meteorology and Hydrology website, we know this map isn't 100% accurate, but it does paint quite a picture for we had that rainfall, definitely across sections of St. Thomas. Most of the rainfall, especially across northern Jamaica, definitely across Hanover, St. James for sure, Trelawney, sections of Clarendon, Manchester, St. Elizabeth, getting in on the rainfall as well. And we definitely have some comments here from some of our followers on our Twitter page. We had Winsome Foster stating Southeast St. Elizabeth is looking bleak at the moment, and we got some rainfall early this morning. We have Ricardo James stating thank God for the Cuban Doppler radar. Yes, Ricardo, definitely, because boy, Jamaican radar has been done for so long. Have to be depending on this Cuban radar, and trust me, this Cuban radar has been here for a long time. I think the first time I saw it was in 2009, but there are images on the internet of it being used as early as 2007. Not sure if that was when it was installed, but they've had it for a long while, and we're grateful that it is highlighting the rainfall across Jamaica too. If we take a look on our Instagram page, we had some comments coming in here as well from Edwards Tenisha stating getting rain in South Manchester this morning. Devine underscore Devina stating raining right now in Hayes Clarendon. We have our Legister dot underscore stating heavy rain in Hanover. Shani.Smith.5 stating raining in Westmoreland. So that indeed confirms the rainfall across a portion of the island today from the east to the west, just as predicted. If we take a look at what's taking place right now, let's see what's taking place across the island right now as we're speaking. So let's reload this. Let's get the very latest still image. Alright, the very latest still image is as of 005 UTC. As a matter of fact, let's give it a minute, because usually, let's say 2 minutes past every 10 minutes past the hour, they come out with an image that came out 7 minutes ago. So I guess the 7:15 image is going to be coming out shortly, but clearly the 7:05 image is showing a burst of convection right there to the south of St. Elizabeth. Who knows, maybe southwestern St. Elizabeth or the southern coastal portion of St. Elizabeth getting in on some isolated showers. We can see the clouds right here on the north coast, maybe getting in on some isolated showers as we speak, still across section of Hanover, St. James, Trelawney. Let's see. We're going to reload these images in a second. As a matter of fact, let's reload the latest Cuban Doppler radar. This was earlier at around 6 p.m. And look at the greens into the yellows into the oranges. That represents moderate to some heavy rainfall that was exiting the coast of Trelawney and St. James right there. Ridiculous. Definite flood triggering rainfall, and clearly we see the south coast not really getting on much, just some isolated showers in the greens and in the slight yellows right there. Alright, I'm pretty sure that the image should be out by now, the 7:15 still image. Let's see. Alright, there we go, just as predicted. Alright, so we lost the lightning in that thunderstorm cell to the south of St. Elizabeth, but we still see it right there. We still have the clouds affecting portion of northern portion of the island, so maybe cloud cover, if not some light rainfall. Clearly the heaviest rainfall or the thunderstorm should be out to sea, where we see the sparkling white dust. Definitely some thunderstorms to the west of Hanover, some thunderstorms to the north of St. James and Hanover. Let us see what the latest Cuban Doppler radar images are showing. Let's reload these. Let's match it to that very latest one. Alright, so the very latest Cuban Doppler radar image just came out at 7:20 p.m. and that is what, 3 minutes ago, considering that is 7:23 p.m. now. Alright, we can definitely make out that rainfall to the south of St. Elizabeth. Definitely some greens into the yellows that represent some moderate heavy rainfall. You can even make out some isolated showers right there to the south of the island, some of which definitely dissipated at the end of the time. You can make out some rainfall to the north of Hanover, St. James, just as we saw on the infrared. So it's all matching, all of these clouds showing the actual rainfall underneath on the Doppler radar. You can see that heavy rainfall to the west of Hanover, which is this cell right here, just like what we're seeing on the latest infrared satellite image. So we know the Cuban Doppler radar definitely a useful tool in general. If we take a look at the Guantanamo Bay Cuban naval radar imagery, we can make out some isolated showers between Haiti and Jamaica. We can see some of this rainfall across the western peninsula of Haiti as we speak, some moderate to slightly heavy rainfall. We can make out a lot of rainfall stretching all the way from Jamaica into portion of the Cayman Islands as we speak. We see the blues, we see the greens. That represents some light to moderate rainfall, some isolated heavy rainfall definitely embedded in some of these rain bands for sure. All of this is associated with the clouds from Sierra. I mean, look how huge the system is. This is Jamaica right here, getting in on some of that. These are the Cayman Islands here. This is the core of the system, having the heaviest rainfall, and it's definitely a battering portion of Honduras, section of northern Nicaragua. We see a glitch in the satellite image. These things are normal. We see Belize right here, the Yucatan Peninsula. Lots of thunderstorms taking place, and the system is trying to get its act together, but it is too close to the coast. That's the problem. This is why it's not going to bother to intensify to a major hurricane that was predicted earlier, and possibly even intensify and bring heavier rainfall to Jamaica. So we're just going to be getting less rainfall, and we're grateful for that. We're grateful for that. We don't need a lot of rainfall right now to cause any damage. Alright, so let's go back. The temperatures right now, as we can see, 26 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 24 degrees Celsius in Kingston. And by about 4 a.m. on Friday, temperature should dip down to about 24 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, staying at 24 degrees Celsius in Kingston. Taking a look at the temperature forecast for tomorrow, this map from the GFS is valid for 18Z on Friday when calculated. That's about 1 p.m. on Friday. And we can see Jamaica right here for the most part embedded in some yellow colors that we can see from the key on the right that represents up to 1 degree Celsius above normal temperatures. And we know the normal temperatures for the month of November across Jamaica are about 88 degrees Fahrenheit. 88 degrees Fahrenheit when calculated is about the same as 31.1 degrees Celsius. So we should be receiving anywhere from 31 all the way up to 32 degrees Celsius at most for Jamaica's temperature on Friday. And we know the drill when it comes to trying to beat the heat. If that temperature is a bit too, if those temperatures are a bit too hot for you tomorrow, try to beat the heat. It's Friday, you know the drill. Dress down, wear lightweight clothing, and use sunscreen. Check on others, including children, elderly people with medical conditions, and pets. Be cool, stay indoors, and make use of fans and air conditionings. Avoid alcohol, caffeine, as they can make you make dehydration worse. Limit non-essential strenuous activity during the hottest parts of the day. And I cannot stress enough how important it is to always keep hydrated throughout the day. Even if you're not thirsty, continuously hydrate yourself, especially if you're working. We don't want any heat related illnesses. Some people don't even realize that the reason why they're sick is because they're dehydrated and they don't even realize it. We should be drinking so much water throughout the day. I mean, can you all just Google how much water, how many liters or how many bottles of water you should be drinking throughout the day, and actually see how much you put into your body throughout the day? You'll see that you're definitely doing yourself a disservice, and you need to fix that. Alright, so let us take a look at the Saharan dust forecast for 2 p.m. on Friday. We can make out that North America, the Caribbean, South America, Central America definitely in the clear, as all the browns that represent the Saharan dust should be right here across the main development region. Right there we see the browns, and what we like to see is the fact that it's more in the lighter shades of browns. We don't see the dark shades of browns that we know can cause very hazy skies, not to mention trigger some amount of respiratory illnesses, asthma, sinusitis in persons. And even although we know that the Saharan dust is good for killing off these storm systems, we'd rather not have it at all to make us sick or make the skies hazy. If we take a look at the wave forecast for tomorrow, we can see that behind the cold front, the winds are going to be churning up the ocean. Look at the purples into the burgundies representing anywhere from 2 all the way up to maybe 6 meter wave heights for sure. You can also see the high wave heights where Sierra is located to the north of Honduras, to the east of Belize, so it all makes sense. Sierra is going to be churning up the waters with her tropical storm force winds, so the wave heights will respond. Well, we can see that stretching from the southern coast of Florida into Jamaica, the central Caribbean, and the eastern Caribbean, we should be getting on those lighter shades of blues to darker shades of blues that represents anywhere from 0.5 of a meter wave height all the way up to 1.5 meter wave height. And that's because the winds across the Caribbean should be averaging anywhere from 5 to 10 to 15 knots. We see around Sierra, definitely the bright greens into the yellows. That represents anywhere from 20 all the way up to whatever tropical storm force wind status is in knots. And we can definitely see that the winds should be coming in more so from the east southeast across the eastern Caribbean, curving northward towards Puerto Rico. We see more of a southerly flow of the wind curving northwestward across Jamaica and then pushing westward into the Cayman Islands and around the center of circulation, that is Sierra, right here off the coast of Honduras on a Friday. And if we take a look at the close-up of Jamaica regarding the winds that are expected, we see more of a southeasterly kind of flow, still getting on that moist southeasterly flow, so we can definitely get in on some rainfall coming off of the sea and pushing northward into pushing of some southern parishes. And we can definitely get in on some rainfall during the afternoon across sections of some northern and western parishes, so we definitely have to look out for that afternoon convection for sure. Definitely across sections of some northern parishes like Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, St. Anne, section of St. Mary, maybe section of Portland getting on some of the action too. And if we actually take a look at the rainfall forecast maps now, this map from the Euro and this map from the GFS are both valid for tonight, 8 p.m. We see the blues, more of them out to sea than anything else, just to match what we just saw on the Doppler radar images, but we could still get on some isolated shores across sections of some northern parishes. Skipping ahead now to about 8 a.m. on Friday. What do we see on both maps? We see the blues represent rainfall, especially across the southern coastal areas, so that could be the morning rainfall with that southerly flow, maybe across sections of St. Thomas, maybe Kingston, St. Andrews, St. Catherine, Clarendon, Manchester, St. Elizabeth, getting in on that moist southerly flow. Clearly the Euro has most of the rainfall to the southwest of us. Look at the dark blues into the greens and the yellows and oranges. That's a lot of rainfall. But the GFS a bit more reserved, showing the dark blues, but still a lot of rainfall. Skipping ahead now to about 1 p.m. on Friday. Look at what we see. Rainfall should be across sections of some eastern, central and western parishes. And the GFS has most of the rainfall out west. The Euro has most of the rainfall across the southern portion of the island, eastern St. Elizabeth, Manchester, Clarendon. GFS has most of it across western and northwestern St. Elizabeth, eastern Westmoreland. We'll see exactly what unfolds with that. Either way, in terms of what's expected at 4 p.m., we still see rainfall across eastern, central and western parishes as represented by the blues. Take these forecasts with a grain of salt. It could be more rainfall, it could be less rainfall. Don't be upset if you don't get any at all. We're still getting in on the moist southeasterly flow. Skipping ahead now to even as far as midnight on Saturday. Midnight. So, well, not midnight on Saturday, midnight on Friday. So early morning Saturday. We still see some rainfall, especially out west. Maybe sections of Hanover, Westmoreland. Interesting if that actually verifies. GFS has the rainfall out there, but it's trying to incorporate portions of some northern, southern and eastern parishes. We'll see how that goes. You were not that impressed with the northern, southern and eastern parishes solution, but we'll see exactly what happens at that time. And we can definitely see that the accumulated precipitation maps are in consensus that it's going to be raining somewhere across Jamaica within the next 24 hours. We see the greens into the yellows and oranges that represents anywhere from 0.25 all the way up into the oranges that represents 0.75 of an inch of rainfall for sure. GFS a bit more robust, getting on the reds across northern Jamaica, maybe St. Anne, Trelawney, all the way up to 0.78, 0.79 of an inch. Rounding it off, that's about an inch of a rainfall. And clearly both maps have the most rainfall out to sea to the west of the island within the next 24 hours. Either way, we're grateful. We're getting in on some rainfall. Nothing too tremendous. It's some rainfall to cool down the temperatures and keep water in our pipes. Clearly for the month of November, we usually receive less rainfall than October. We're in the final month of our rainy season. In Kingston, whose bar graph is being shown right here at the top, we usually receive up to 50 millimeters of rainfall. In Montego Bay, whose bar graph is being shown right here at the bottom, we usually receive close to 5 inches of rainfall. 5 inches of rainfall is about the same as 125 millimeters of rainfall. 50 millimeters for Kingston of rainfall is about the same as 2 inches. And I'd like for you to keep in mind that if you'd like to find out what your specific parish receives throughout the year in terms of rainfall and the rain gauge, you can visit weatherandclimate.com, and that website will show you what your parish receives. And you can use this nice graphic right here from the Hurricane Center's website that does the calculation in terms of rainfall that we receive on the rain gauge. We know that 1 inch of rainfall is about the same as 25 millimeters of rainfall. So you can do the math yourself. Alright, so that's it for the forecast across Jamaica. Let us focus our attention on the rest of the Caribbean. As stated, the northeastern Caribbean definitely getting in on some amount of cloud cover and rainfall associated with the frontal system. Definitely bringing rainfall from Antigua and Barbuda westward, St. Bart's sections of Anguilla, St. Martin, St. Kitts and Nevis, the US and British Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, Haiti, the Dominican Republic, section of the Turks and Caicos, southern Bahamas, Cuba getting on the mix. You can see the clouds associated with Sierra definitely spinning and twining and twisting around. Right there across the Western Caribbean, lots of bands spinning and spiraling into the system. From the Cayman Islands, the Yucatan, Guatemala, Belize, Honduras, El Salvador, Nicaragua, Costa Rica getting in on some of the action. So to Panama, Colombia, southern Venezuela, section of Guyana, Suriname, French Guyana as usual getting on their usual afternoon thunderstorm. If we take a look at the Doppler radar images of the northeastern Caribbean, let's see what's happening over there. So as expected, there's rainfall. We see the greens, we see the yellows that represent a moderate to heavy rainfall stretching all the way from Antigua and Barbuda, St. Kitts, section of the US Virgin Islands, in and around Puerto Rico, east of the Dominican Republic, and this is as of the latest Doppler radar from 7:30 p.m. considering that it is 7:36 p.m. so this just came out 6 minutes ago. Definitely getting in on some rainfall as we speak. As a matter of fact, if we load these images from 2 today, close minutes to 2, we saw that we're getting in on some rainfall across the eastern portion of the Dominican Republic. Puerto Rico definitely gotten on some amount of rainfall, especially across central and eastern portion of the island. So too the US Virgin Islands, St. Martin, some of this rainfall pushing into St. Kitts, section of Anguilla, Antigua and Barbuda, Guadeloupe getting on some of the action. Taking a look at the Barbados radar, we don't see much happening in and around Barbados, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Grenada or Tobago right now. But we can see that portion of the waters to the north of St. Lucia, we're getting on some isolated shores. Waters to the east of Martinique as well. Waters to the west of Dominica as well. If we take a look at the weather view of Doppler radar images, we can make out that rainfall, that rain band pushing from south to north, all courtesy of Saharan, Sierra right there. Lots of rainfall spiraling into the system. We see the flow around it, that whole anti-clockwise flow of rainfall. We can also make out that rainfall across northwestern Venezuela passing to the north of the ABC Islands, some isolated shores there. So too some rainfall across sections of Colombia as well. If we take a look at what's expected within the next 24 hours, this map from the Euro and this map from the GFS are both showing all the rainfall that's expected from now up to 10 p.m. on Friday, and we can see the rainfall moisture from that frontal system that's still expected into a portion of the Leeward Islands, Anguilla, Antigua and Barbuda, St. Bart's, St. Martin, St. Kitts and Nevis, the US and British Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, Haiti, the Dominican Republic, Jamaica, section of the Cayman Islands with the dark reds, purples, pinks, all across the waters to the west of there, stretching into Honduras. Lots of rainfall expected within the next 24 hours. Like, this is ridiculous. Panama, Guatemala, section of El Salvador, section of western Nicaragua, section of Costa Rica, Panama getting in on the action, so too Colombia, Venezuela, section of the ABC Islands, Guyana, coastal areas of Suriname, section of Trinidad and Tobago right there. Not much for the Windward Islands, and we can definitely see that both the Euro and the GFS models are in consensus with this forecast. I know that when they're in agreement like this, the chances of it actually happening are very much likely. Alright, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching.